Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN, of whom more in a bit. Now, central London has quite a lot of stations. That's not exactly a revelation. I mean, there are 11 tube lines, plus the National Rail Network, plus the DLR, the Elizabeth line. There's a few overground stations in there, and anything else you can think of. But then you've got the enormous number of abandoned and superseded stations as well. And I found myself wondering, could you cross London without leaving the vicinity of a station? I had the opportunity to test this recently. I wanted some footage of the site of Ludgate Hill station, and I took a train into Waterloo. So I figured I'd take a little walk. Oh yeah, and before anyone points it out, I'm probably going to be bulking this up with some older footage I've taken of the locations in question, so that's why the continuity is going to be a bit funny. Let's just say that when I was filming, I drastically underestimated the amount I could find to say. So obviously you have the enormous complex that is Waterloo Station, complete with underground facilities for 4 lines. This opened in 1848 under the London and South Western Railway, and it's now one of the busiest stations in Britain. It was rebuilt in the early 20th century. I can't give you an exact date because it was rebuilt in bits and pieces between 1903 and 1922. That red bridge there is one of the few remaining bits of the old station and came along in 1864. Actually, I think it's the only remaining bit, above ground at least. I'm reluctant to say for absolutely certain because there are lots of parts that the public don't normally see. The reason that bridge existed was to connect the line with the South Eastern Railway's line, which passed nearby on its way to London Bridge and later Cannon Street. Now, the South Eastern Railway weren't huge fans of this connection, being as how it didn't make them as much money as they hoped it would. So they decided to build their own station at Waterloo in 1869, which was across the road from the main station and was originally known as Waterloo Junction. You'd know it as Waterloo East. It has a foot connection with the main Waterloo station. Now, I walked along the cut, and I will say that the back streets around here are also worth exploring if you like old houses, which I do. At the far end of Waterloo East you have Southwark Tube Station. This is part of the Jubilee Line extension, which came along in 1999 and runs to Stratford via South East London and the Docklands. Fun fact, the interior of this station was inspired by a production of Mozart's The Magic Flute, specifically the set for the Queen of the Night scene. Anyway, Southwark has a connection to Waterloo East as a means of taking a bit of pressure off Waterloo Underground station. Across the road from Waterloo we come to our first abandoned station, the South Eastern Railway's Blackfriars station. I know the sign says Charing Cross Railway, but that was a company that was absorbed by the South Eastern before the station opened. In the early 1860s, the London, Chatham and Dover Railway were building a line to Blackfriars Bridge. More on that in a bit. The South Eastern Railway were their great rivals, and they built this station very close to the intersection with the London, Chatham and Dover Railway, and just a short distance from Blackfriars Bridge station. The station was pretty basic, and my theory is that it was built in the hope of skimming off some of the London, Chatham and Dover passengers. I should do a proper video on it, really. Remind me to do that one of these days. Anyway, the station opened in 1864 and closed in 1869 when Waterloo Junction was opened. I am now going to walk up Blackfriars Road. Here we have our first gap in the walk, but it's not a very big one, because here is the site of the aforementioned Blackfriars Bridge station. This station also opened in 1864, and was briefly the London, Chatham and Dover's terminus. Later that year they got into the city with a station at Ludgate Hill, and later still a connection to the Metropolitan Railway, which made the line far more popular. Ludgate Hill was too small to take the number of passengers now, and Blackfriars Bridge was too far, and also too small. So the Dover boys had a new station built on the other side of the bridge, which opened in 1886, and in 1884 Blackfriars Bridge was closed to passengers. That was an illogical order in which to say those things. Oh well. Blackfriars Bridge remained in use as a goods depot until 1968. This has nothing to do with the station, but check this mini park thing out. It's actually part of the City of London, even though it's south of the river. I don't know the story of that, but it looks interesting. The river seems like a good place to take a break, so I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about Surfshark VPN. I've been working on a dance move recently, which I call the Jago. It goes like... Oh, hold on, it's sort of like... It's like the... Oh, you can't see me. Well, anyway, I wanted to see if anybody else had come up with this move without risking people finding out that it was me who devised this red-hot piece of footwork, so I used Surfshark to conceal my identity online. Its advanced encryption offers excellent protection from people snooping on you online, and it has servers in over 100 countries to allow you to virtually change your location. Actually, the task took longer than expected, because by changing my location I was able to access the foreign catalogues of all my favourite streaming services. And then I got distracted by the ability to get region-specific bargains while shopping online. And then, to be honest, I kind of forgot about the dance business altogether. Anyway, if you follow the link in the description below, or use this QR code and enter the code JAGO, you can get 4 months extra free on top of a 2-year plan, which should enable you to see why I found it so hard to finish my dance move. Actually, I came up with a new dance in Surfshark's honour, which I call the Surfshark Shuffle, and it goes something like this. That new station on the other side of the bridge opened as St. Paul's, but in 1937 it would be renamed Blackfriars. In 1870 it had been joined by the District Railway, which confusingly called their connecting station Blackfriars right from the start. It's like the Bank Monument thing all over again. Fortunately for the concept of this video, in 2012 the whole station was rebuilt to span the river, which means that it is possible to cross without leaving the station. Apparently this is the world's largest solar-powered bridge, so I guess when the sun isn't shining it just falls into the river or something. I don't know what a solar-powered bridge is. Keep going and you come to the site of Ludgate Hill. Unfortunately I couldn't get to it properly because there's building work going on there, which rather negated the whole point of this journey. Anyway, here's some footage I took previously. I am planning on talking about this station in a bit more detail in another video that's on the way, but suffice it to say that this station was a bit too small, and once St. Paul's, or Blackfriars if you like, opened, it served no real purpose. It lasted until 1929. These days the site is the approach to City Thameslink, and that's our next stop. City Thameslink was opened in 1990, originally under the name of St. Paul's Thameslink. The name changed a little over a year later. City Thameslink is, according to an article that was published by Time Out in March this year, the worst station in Britain for delays. So that's a claim to fame, I suppose. There might have been another station here. Remember Southwark and the Jubilee Line extension? Back when the Jubilee Line was first being planned, back then it was known as the Fleet Line, the original plan was to run it through the city. There would have been a station serving Ludgate Circus. Would that mean that City Thameslink would also have been called Ludgate Circus? Maybe. City Thameslink replaced Holborn Viaduct. That station was opened, yet again, by the London Chatham and Dover Railway in 1874. The London Chatham and Dover Railway was a company that tended to be short of money, and I can't help but feel that their tendency to build expensive but inadequate stations in the City of London did not help matters. Holborn Viaduct was a somewhat awkwardly designed station that wasn't used very much outside of peak hours. The route to the Metropolitan Railway bypassed it. It suffered a slow death in the decades post-World War II, being finally put out of its misery in 1990. This entrance to City Thameslink was originally the entrance to Holborn Viaduct, the site of which has disappeared under office blocks. They're building another one now. I've often said that what this city needs is more half-empty office blocks. And now we're at Smithfield. Now I know what you're thinking. No, Jago, Smithfield is an historic meat market, it is not an station. And you'd be right. But what does this ramp here lead to? These days, an underground car park. But back in the day, and by the day I mean 1869 to 1962, there was a goods depot down here. A goods depot is kind of a station, so it counts. Most of it has been rebuilt, but if you don't mind doing a little exploring and can endure the smell of exhaust fumes and stale urine, you can find signs of the old depot. Other areas are being incorporated into the new Museum of London development and are used as railway sidings. Next to Smithfield you have Farringdon. The first Farringdon station was built in 1863 and known as Farringdon Street, and it was next to the current one. The current station was built in 1865 to accommodate a couple of extra tracks known as the widened lines. These allowed other trains, including those of the London, Chatham and Dover Railway, to use the Metropolitan Railway's route through central London. There's a lot of history to Farringdon, and in fact I did a whole video on the subject a while back that's around here somewhere. But in 2022, the Elizabeth line joined Farringdon Station. The Elizabeth line platforms are so long that they actually connect with Barbican Station at the other end. Here I ended my walk, but while writing this script it occurred to me that I could have gone further. For instance, buried under the Barbican estate is the site of the Midland Railway's Whitecross Street goods depot, which itself was very close to Moorgate. Moorgate, via its own Elizabeth line platforms, connects to Liverpool Street, which was next to Broad Street. I could also have gone in the other direction. Waterloo Station is next to the site of not one, but two abandoned stations belonging to the London Necropolis Company. One on Leek Street and the other on Westminster Bridge Road. The second one is only about 2 minutes down the road from Lambeth North Tube Station. I dare say I could have taken this thing in all sorts of directions, but I think I've made my point, whatever that was. I think that looking at the history of the stations in London, we see a shift in emphasis through time. In the 19th century, we see a lot of greed and competition leading to waste and needless duplications as stations are built wherever the companies can put them. This leads in the 20th century to a decline as the unnecessary stations die off. But then we see a demand for more and more efficient transport in the late 20th century, as driving into town becomes less practical, and we get better planned public transport. But sometimes it's still nice to take a walk. Well, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon and here on YouTube for your kind support. You are the underground depot to my meat market. I would also like to thank Surfshark for once again sponsoring this channel. Check out the link down below to take advantage of their generous offer. And I'll see you all again very soon. Cheerio.